Another broadcast of Don't Give Up. Today we're going to talk about feeling your feelings, when to do it, how to do it, and why you might want to. And this is a topic that I've touched in broadcasts and other series. If you're new to my work, I got a jillion series on YouTube, honestly like 10. And this series is for my homies. If you haven't seen this one, my homies are people who have gone through it, know the depths of human ouchiness, and are trying their darndest to heal forward. So I'm hopeful in this series to simplify some of the things that I learned, simplify and share things that I learned on my journey so that you can have as much fun as soon as possible. Because, why not? And why that's valuable, or why I think that's valuable, is because when you're healing, you're looking out through some of the wounds you want to heal. And one of those wounds might be not trusting people. So that makes it hard to get resources. Or one of those wounds might be that you're not worthy of feeling good. And so you make things harder than they need to be. Or good morning or evening. Hey, everybody. So there are these different things that you'll look at out through onto the path. That might make the path harder than it needs to be. So I'm hopeful to say, well, look, you can see it like that. And also, it looks like this. So that, again, you can feel, you can have fun and feel good as soon as possible. So in feeling your feelings, let's just kind of take a second right now and do it. So try to just relax. Put your little thoughts down. Dust them off. Bring yourself right here and just kind of ask yourself, how do I feel? So if you were trying to, let's say, gauge the room temperature, or if you were trying to, if you couldn't remember what kind of shirt you had on, if you were really trying to feel okay, well, what is that fabric? So do that same thing where you're kind of searching for sensation, and try to do it for, your feelings. And then just ask, oh, how do I feel? Pick a word. Well, maybe I feel kind of, okay, before we do that, I'll share this with you too. So when somebody's making a piece of art, let's say they're doing, I was out in the mountains the other day, or I was on the beach. In the background, the mountains look blue. They're not blue. And so if you were drawing a picture and you use the picture in your head, you might draw mountains as brown, because that's how you think about mountains. Mountains are, big chunks of dirt and rock. But at that moment, they look blue. So if you wanted to recreate that moment, you pick the color that they are, which is blue. And it's the same with your feelings. You might think oh, I'm going through this thing. I feel that's a sad thing. I feel sad. But maybe you don't feel sad. Or maybe you're in a set of circumstances that should be this, really just let yourself see and say what it is, no matter how crazy it sounds. If someone was oh yeah, paint those mountains blue. You'd think that was crazy if you didn't know that that's, how they looked from where you were. So how do you feel from where you are? Just relax and try to feel it. Let's see, what does Shaylee feel? Shaylee feels angry. Anger's a new one for me. I really like it. Shaylee feels hurt. Shaylee does feel hurt. Shaylee feels excited and hopeful and strong and determined. I feel apprehensive. See how those all point kind of different ways? That's okay. The idea is to develop that relationship, that conversation, that connection. How do I feel? How do I feel? Why do you want to do that? Well, sometimes those feelings have information for you. They might help you stay away from things that aren't right for you, or lean into things that inspire you, or, if you're on this path, sometimes they're there just because they've always been there. You might feel lonely or hopeless just because you're used to feeling lonely or hopeless. when you bring the feeling into your awareness, you can decide then what you want to do with it, what you want it to become. So what does the anger want to become for Shaylee? Decisiveness. Oh yeah. Yeah, she liked that. What was the other one that I had? That was hurt. What does the hurt want to become? Gold and glory. Hey everybody. So there are these, if you're just joining, what we're doing today are feeling our feelings and how and why to do that. So just now I kind of like talked everybody through how to get in touch with how you feel right now. And now I'm talking to kind of the value of that. And the value is like, you know how you feel. And from there, then you can make decisions about what's right for you or what you need to do next. If you're on this healing path, and that's this broadcast series, again, you might feel things just out of habit. I felt powerless for a really long time, stuck. I felt stuck, and so I acted stuck. And so the world around me was like, here's how you're stuck. But I wasn't stuck, I just felt stuck. You see the difference? Like you think how you feel, and you feel how you think. And if you're not able to get yourself out of certain loops, it might be because your feelings are leading your thoughts, or the other way around. But in this instance, I'm thinking like, okay, well, I grew up feeling powerless. I grew up feeling like I needed to escape. And I lived out those feelings for a really long time, out of those feelings. Everywhere I was trying to escape. God bless, So in acknowledging that I felt that way, it gave me the opportunity to address it so that I could see, like, adult Shaylee was like, honey, there's nothing here to escape. And it's really tough to see through your own feelings at first. And that's why it's helpful to have somebody that you're working with on the outside to kind of like bounce off some of these perceptions to see, like, am I perceiving accurately? Is this to ground, or am I looking through my hurt? Am I looking through my disempowerment? Am I looking through the past? On the journey, you might get, like, as I did, kind of like tripped up in that process and feeling like I couldn't trust myself. It's like, oh, I feel scared. Am I scared because I don't want to expose myself, or am I scared because this isn't the good fit? Those are all sensations you can learn to discern, but you almost need to step into a little bit more to say, like, okay, like, this is this, this is this, this is this, so that, again, you can make decisions about what's right for you. On the healing journey, and I said this in the last video, sometimes you don't know what's right for you because you've been trained out of that awareness. You've been trained out of your comfort, out of your out of your preference, out of your worthiness, out of the idea that life could even feel good. And so a very simple question of, like, which do you like, might be really hard. What do I like? I don't know. I wasn't allowed to like what I liked, or is it okay for me to like what I like? Or, like, there are different tools you need to do some of the other tools, and that might create a bottleneck, but it doesn't have to. See how I think some of these things are funny? If you relax and let it be funny, and you let it be playful, you'll get an idea of where to start, and you can go from there. In this series, I'm also heavily emphasizing, like, you're part of an overall unfolding intelligence, universal consciousness, spirit, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Like, you're part of something that's bigger than you. From my vantage point, this is what's helpful for me. Like, you do you discover your own truths. But in allowing that, I find that I can tap into these resources that can be game-changing. If I wake up feeling some type of way, rather than try to figure it all out, I ask to know what I need to know and to feel what I need to feel to progress. That way, I'm not digging around in old shit. I'm able to focus on where I am because, again, the healing journey, it's to here. We're just trying to come here. We're just trying to come here as ourselves with a confidence and relaxation to be and act as ourselves towards things that are personally meaningful, and to connect. isn't that cool? Like, we're just going to where we already are, which means that it's much closer than it seems. And often when you forget who you are, or you forget all your stuff and your mind empties, you're already there. Isn't that crazy? And yet there can be a reconciling process or a calibration process where your body comes to accept more readily and more often, like, you're safe to do that. So in feeling the feelings, I talked to you already about how to connect to them. I said about why you might want to do that, the information that's there. I talked about how, why, how, when. When is like, maybe it's probably good to check in with yourself pretty often and learn how to not push feelings down. To not push feelings down, there has to be a safe space around them. And the safe space basically means it's okay to feel how I feel, even if I don't understand, or even if I think I shouldn't be mad. Like the stuff that Shaylee's mad and heard about from earlier, it's not like, it's reasonable? It's reasonable. Is it reasonable? I don't know how I think about it yet, but that's how I feel about it. And until, like, and so I can let both of those things exist, where it's like, I feel this way about it. I don't know if it's reasonable for me to think, like, to feel that way. And reasonable to me in that reconciliation process basically means, like, if it's not reasonable, then there is a thought for me, an idea for me, or a belief for me to adjust. I'm angry for a reason other than transgression. When you feel naturally real time, it's great information. Like, someone was hiding information from me and I got mad. Shaylee, I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't know, but I could feel it, and I was feeling angry, and that was because I was being manipulated. And I think that, like, our body has this intelligence to let us know when we're being wronged, but sometimes that's colored or hidden by old shit. So like I was saying, like, the stuff that you're looking through that's not present can get in the way of, like, real-time good helpful information of, like, this isn't right for me, or I'm being wronged. And before you go into, like, the I'm being wronged, remember one of the things you might look through is, like, victimhood. So see how it's like this kind of, like, delicate shuffling, but it doesn't have to be a swirly, whip around maze. Let yourself kind of accept what's on the table, intend to know, and allow yourself to move with it. Yeah, trust your gut feeling. Thank you for adding that. Yeah, like, let yourself sort of, like, let it evolve. If you're trying to pin it down in your head, is it this, is it that? Like, you're in your head, which isn't where it is. And, taking, like, sort of safe small steps can help you learn. I talked about this before in other broadcasts. Like, I used to do these, like, hey, is this real? Call and answers with people. Like, hey, I feel this way. I know this is crazy. Or I'm having this thought. I know this is crazy. Is this real? And that works if the people that you can trust, or the people that you're doing it with, can be honest, or aren't in their own fear pattern. And all of that's to kind of, again, like, calibrate your perception so that you're seeing as clearly as possible and not through your own stuff. You'll never see exactly, because you're always looking through you and you're only looking at, like, an angle of it. But you can at least know when it's possible that your perception will be influenced by your feelings. And you want to do that because you're responding to what you're perceiving. And the quality of your response determines the quality of your result. Isn't there more today? Yes. What else? Listen. You will likely know more than you think that you know, and that tracks back to having you trained away from your own knowing. And it doesn't mean you have to develop knowing, it only means you have to develop the acceptance that you know, which again is very close and present. Isn't that great? Like, it's a much closer destination than you think. Anything else? No, that's it for today. So if you're watching on Instagram, these are filmed on Instagram. And then they're also on YouTube at Shaylee Edwards. I'm also posting, I'm now regularly posting things on TikTok. And in that, I'm doing more energy spiritual work. Right now, I've just been doing energy readings, but it'll likely expand content-wise. And then anything else, I sell art. I've got some new art on my profile right now on Instagram from 6 artists that I represent, and then a spotlight piece from one of them. Anything else? No, that's it. I work with clients one-to-one if you're interested in learning about that process. I love that work. I've been doing it for almost a decade and increasing focus. And thank you so much. Thanks for coming out. And that looks like belief repatterning, where I help repattern people's ideas of themselves and the world so that they can act more consistently toward what it is that they want, and to be kind of like in love and enjoy their lives like while they're here and do their things, because we're all making the new world together.